good example of why California voters overwhelmingly said that we want to have the process of drawing district lines done not by politicians, but by an independent commission. Because you have there a politician saying, oh, we're going to defeat these people, not through actually having a free and fair election, but just by moving some lines around on a map. California voters very clearly said, that's not the way it should be done. Voters should choose their representatives. Representatives shouldn't choose their voters. And so I think it's a pretty brazen scheme to say that we're going to go from having this independent commission established by California voters, set fair district lines every decade after the census, to suddenly short-circuiting that process, abolishing the commission, pushing them aside, undercutting the will of voters, and doing precisely what it is they said they didn't want to do anymore, which is to have politicians draw district lines. So at the end of the day, I think it's a pretty tough sell for the likes of Governor Newsom or Mr. Swalwell to convince voters to undo the very thing that they just did 15 years ago and put this power back in the hands of politicians. And for as far as my own seat goes, I have a pretty clear record of getting support from Democrats, Republicans, and independents. I actually received the most votes of any Republican candidate in California history. So no matter what they do, if they try to throw a certain group of voters into my district or to alter the district lines, even if that were to happen, I think I'd have a good record to run on.
Okay, so you called a brazen scheme. So this all started because the president called on Texas to do some redistricting to favor Republicans. Is it a brazen scheme for Texas to do this?
Well, listen to what the governor is saying here. He's saying that what Texas is doing or some other state is doing is wrong, so therefore California should do it too. I think voters are going to say, wait a minute, why is it that two wrongs makes a right? Now, I want to be clear, I don't love what Texas is doing either, although there are some pretty key differences, which is number one, California voters have voted overwhelmingly to establish an independent commission to do our redistricting. And what the governor is trying to do is to then subvert the will of the voters to get rid of that commission so that he can do the process, he could have this power for himself again. But the second thing is that California is already pretty imbalanced in terms of our political representation. Right now, Republicans have fewer than 20% of the seats in the House, even though we get over 40% of the vote in statewide elections. Even if Texas goes through with its plans, the map that they have will actually still be more favorable towards Democrats than California's current map is towards Republicans. If the governor gets his way, what he wants to do is make it so we have 49 representatives from one party and 3 from another, 49 to 3. I think if you ask any California voter, Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green Party, anything, they would say, oh, wait a minute, I think that's maybe a little too one-sided. I think our state, our democracy would be healthier if we had a little more balance, a little more checks and balances.
Have you voiced any concerns to President Trump about this?
I haven't spoken with the president about this. I have, certainly made my view clear that California has established an independent commission and that it is pretty outrageous to suddenly say we want this to be done by politicians again.
Anybody in the California delegation, in terms of your fellow Republicans, do they not like it?
Well, sure. I mean, I think that we issued a joint statement, all of us in the delegation a couple weeks ago, saying precisely what I've just said, that this is something that the voters have already voted on, and this is a partisan process that they're now trying to revert to. But more importantly, we see the opposition to this plan is coming from people on all sides of the aisle. You have organizations that are traditionally very left-leaning, like Common Cause, which fights for fair elections, which has come out and said this is a dangerous thing that they are doing. You had the president of the League of Women Voters, who just wrote an op-ed in the Sacramento Bee opposing this plan. So there's a good reason that this initiative passed in the first place, why the voters overwhelmingly approved the independent commission to take the process of drawing district lines out of the hands of politicians. And that's the reason why you're seeing such a broad base of support from people of all different ideological and political views who are stepping forward now saying this is exactly the wrong thing.